Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News, and right now I am joined by UFC strawweight Vanessa Demopoulos. Who's getting ready to face Jinh Yu Frey, UFC Vegas 57, June 25th. Vanessa, how are you?
What's happening, guys? It's so good to be here.
Absolutely. It's glad to have you here. Thanks again for the time. First question for me. Let's get right into it. How pumped are you to get back in the octagon and face Jinh Yu Frey?
I love fighting so much. I'm such a competitor. So it feels so good to know that I'm inches away from being able to walk back in there and have some fun.
I love it. And one of the biggest differences between this fight camp and some other past fight camps that you've had is you're a full-time fighter now. Obviously, that's got to feel good. Just kind of tell us how much of a relief that is to have MMA as your sole focus and not get distracted by other things too.
Yeah, this, like you said, it's the first time that I've ever been able to just be completely immersed in the thing that I love doing so very much. So it's been completely life-changing for me, this camp, especially being here at Fight Ready and being able to just give my all to the thing that I love. Every time I've ever fought, I've only been half in, half out, not because of anything for me mentally, but because I have to split my time and I have to split my attention between the other jobs that I had and just not being able to be completely immersed. So this has been a huge difference for me.
I gotcha. And I saw you earned your Jiu-Jitsu black belt recently. Obviously, that's got to feel good. Just tell me a little bit about the journey and how good that felt to get your black belt.
Yeah, getting a black belt is it's a huge life accomplishment. I think that anyone who ever starts a jiu-jitsu journey, from white belt, even when you don't really know what jiu-jitsu is, black belt, that's the pinnacle. That's the thing that you seek to accomplish. So it's really amazing to be able to have the honor of being a black belt. I think that it holds a much higher standard as well. When I'm on the mats, it's not just about me so much. It's about being able to help people as well through their journeys, because we do have the knowledge, because we've messed up so much more. We've seen all of the different techniques to be able to share that with other people who do have questions.
And obviously, I'm sure you gave a speech afterwards. What were those moments like? And just kind of what was going through your mind at that moment?
I couldn't stop crying, honestly. It's really it was so much to take in. Even though I knew that it was coming, I still it was still such a huge moment for me to receive that honor. And just thinking about the entire journey, all of the competitions, all of the amazing coaches I've had along the way, all of the amazing teammates that I've gotten blessed to be a part of family with, because that's what jiu-jitsu is, It's more than just walking onto the mat. You become family with the people who you're training with every single day, and it's the struggle with each other and learning and growing and stretching yourself and becoming so much more on and off the mats. And it was just so huge. It was so huge.
Absolutely. Well, congrats again on that. Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
Right now I have my head coach, Santino DeFranco, who is such a savant when it comes to anything that is fighting incorporated. He fought K1. He was also an MMA fighter. He's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. The man is just completely well-rounded. He's so immersed in the sport, so knowledgeable. And I have Carla Esparza, who is just one of the most beautiful strikers that we have at the gym. So he's been helping me so much this camp. And I'm going to have one of my other training partners coming out with me as well.
Awesome. And then talking about Jinh Yu Frey's skill set, obviously a very tough fight, former Invicta champion as well. You're a former LFA champion. Just kind of give us your thoughts on her skill set and what kind of fight you're expecting in this one.
I'm expecting her to definitely bring the battle. So, she's a fighter, she's a warrior. So I'm really looking forward to going out there and just being able to be the bonus fighter that I am.
Absolutely. And you fought a lot of current UFC fighters on your way to the UFC. Just kind of take me through your journey through LFA. Just kind of talk about how important it was to gain that experience before you got to the UFC.
Yeah. I've talked about this before. I don't think anybody really had as tough of a journey getting to the UFC as I did when it comes to the level of opponents that they had to face on their way up there. Even from an amateur perspective. I mean, I fought Caitlin Chukagian when I was an amateur fighter. You know, she was the first loss that I ever had on my record. And then I fought Cheyenne Bays or Velismus. I don't know what she's going by these days for the Tough Enough belt. And then coming into the LFA, I think almost everyone who I fought in the LFA is in the UFC now, with the exception of maybe like one or two who are like on their way still, you know, like it's been such an incredible journey. And I feel like I was truly battle tested before arriving. And that's why I can feel so comfortable and so confident when I speak about being in the UFC. I know that this is exactly where I belong. And I felt like this was where I was prior to arriving, you know? So it was like, man, like, thank God I'm finally here. Like, I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to showcase this skill to the whole world, you know, because prior to being a UFC fighter, I always felt like there was the caliber of the fight that was in me in the LFA. So now I get to be here and experience what it's like on the bigger stage.
Yeah, and LFA's put out a lot of top talent like yourself, Lupe Godinez, Brandon Royval. Do you feel like LFA is starting to get the respect it deserves in terms of being a solid organization and not just being a feeder league, so to speak, but also just producing top talent?
Yeah, I don't think they're starting to. I think that the UFC has known this. That has been their goal for a long time now. I remember when the LFA had first combined with Legacy Alliance and the RFA, you know, when the merger initially happened, and it was like, immediately they were getting the respect. Immediately, like everybody knew, like this is where the talent is even coming from. And I believe that it's places like the LFA, it's places like Cage Warriors, that people are really keeping their eye on those two leagues. They know that that is where the big names are going to start to really shine, you know, before they really get there. Like that's where the trajectory begins.
Absolutely. And I saw you got to do a little bit of broadcasting recently on UFC Fight Pass. Just kind of tell me about that experience. And obviously, I know you have a lot left in your MMA career, but looking ahead to the future, do you feel like broadcasting could be a post-career, post-MMA career for you?
Why post when I can do it now? So I love being in front of the camera. I love speaking. I love fighting. I love doing analysis. And I don't think that that's something that I need to put on the back burner, only when I have a fight coming up, you know, because I'm a fully focused type of an individual and I don't like to split my attention. So doing something like broadcasting for UFC Fight Pass really allows me to be completely engaged and immersed in the sport that I love so much on the in-between of having fights coming up. I think that it couldn't be more complimentary.
Yeah, because obviously when you're in broadcasting, you're breaking down fights, you're breaking down fighters. Do you feel like with broadcasting, that'll kind of help your career in the octagon as well in terms of preparation and all that?
Well, that's what the rumor is. Those are some things that I've heard from other people who are also fighters and broadcasters at the same time. And yeah, I have noticed that I am able to see things with a different eye, you know, a different perspective when I look at these fights. I get to see, you know, yeah, I get to see it with different eyes when I start really doing my own analysis of my opponents.
Definitely. And obviously, I got to ask you about former UFC strawweight champion Joanna Jedrzejczyk announcing her retirement this past weekend after UFC 275. Just kind of want to get your reaction to that and just kind of talk about her legacy in the sport as well.
Man, Joanna was just such a trailblazer for especially the strawweight division. And I feel like there's a few names that really like stick out in female MMA fighting. You know, like you have the Ronda Rousey, you have the Joanna, and you know, now you have the bulletproof Valentina and Amanda Nunes. And like, so Joanna was one of those pinnacles, you know, she was somebody that people really looked up to in the sport. And honestly, I thought that she was already retired. And then to see her come out of retirement and then retire again, I was like, man, you know, but she is such an amazing human when it comes to being such a good business person. And it's just been amazing to watch her legacy throughout the sport. And I know she's going to have nothing but success moving forward in whatever it is that she chooses to plant her hands into. So it was really cool to see that. And she's always going to be remembered in the sport as the queen, right? Because that's who she is.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking ahead, Zhang Weili obviously expected to fight Carla Esparza for the title next. Just kind of want to get your early thoughts on that matchup. Do you feel like Carla Esparza is almost getting overlooked in a way? Because I feel like a lot of people are expecting Zhang Weili to just run through her, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that Carla's always being overlooked. I can't really recall any of her fights in the last 2 years where she was walking out there and people were saying like, man, Carla, like Carla's the one, Carla's going to take this. Yeah, she's consistently being overlooked. And I don't think that phases her whatsoever. I do know that like, Weili's striking is going to be obviously her stronger suit in this. But Weili is also a little bit strong on the ground as well. And Carla is very strong in her wrestling. Her top control is just absolutely amazing. So that's going to be another fight that people really need to be keeping their eyes on. I think that's going to be a sleeper, and I know that Carla had a very boring fight in her last bout against Rose. And that's going to, I think that's going to be very sneaky looking forward to this next fight because people aren't going to be expecting anything of her.
Yeah, I gotcha. And a couple more questions for me. Once again, I really do appreciate the time. What does a typical fight week look like for you? What do you like to do during the week to de-stress with your team and take your mind off things when it comes to fighting? What's that process like during fight week?
Try to pet some puppies. Yeah. So petting puppies is always like, I want to go pet a puppy today. Yes, like, and I definitely love like trying to go outside, go for hikes. Yeah, just like be around like positive vibes. Like that's always my vibe. Like I love laughing and smiling and having fun. Because I think training is like it is so serious, and I am so engaged once we're in the gym. So it's nice to try to like get a lighter feel on the in between of just being so immersed.
Absolutely. And last question for me, what can fight fans expect from you at UFC Vegas 57?
I'm a fucking firecracker, guys. So keep your eyes peeled because you never know what's about to happen.
Absolutely. Well, before we go, I'll give you the floor to shout out any sponsors you may have, shout out your team, social media, all that good stuff. I'll give you the final word.
All glory to God. Absolutely. Guys, if you guys want to follow me, Lil Monster Demo right here on Instagram. Everything is funneled through there. And of course, I'm always being like crazy and wild and all of the things like, yes, let's go. Come on the journey with me. We're all going to fight week together. That's how I feel.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Vanessa, it was great to meet you. Great to chat with you. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon. Thank you so much.
Yes. Be amazing, guys.